Hey everybody, it's Andy. Welcome back to my show where I help you build a career you love. Today we're going to talk about discipline and how it is the key to achieving your goals. Love this subject, wrote a whole book about it. So I want you to think about this. Consistency, willpower, confidence, growth. What do those all have in common? They contribute to a better you. They contribute to a better you. We're going to talk about those throughout the day. Get in, get settled. If you're here with me live, get in the chat. Tell me where you're from. Tell me what you need. Make sure you put question marks in front of the question because there are always a lot of you, and I love having you. And I want to go out on a limb here and say I think it's a pretty safe assumption that if you are here with me live or you're watching this on the recording, that you are one of two people or two types of people. You're either my mother who watches everything that I shoot, or you're somebody who's interested in making a change in your life in some capacity. Maybe it's a big goal. Maybe it's some habits that you want to change. Maybe you just want to be a little more disciplined at your daily planning. Whatever it is, I'm going to talk today like you want to change something. So I hope you appreciate that, and I think it'll be a lot of fun. So great to have you. And if you are actually with me live, and we're doing this as the third show in a triple header of my little series on your inner leader, great to have you. I know some of you have been with me all 3 days this week, so thanks for that. So let's get into the talk. This is about discipline. And it is about using discipline as a vehicle to achieve a goal. So that's really going to be the theme today. And I'm going to give you my perspective, which I'm actually fairly certain might be different than a lot of what you hear from different goal-setting gurus or leaders or whatever. But I want you to stick with me on this, and I will tie this all together as we continue to build on these concepts, which may sound odd initially, but I will walk you through the whys, the wherefores, and all that good stuff. So if you want to change anything in your life, or you want to achieve anything in your life, the best place to start is by dialing up your BHAG. And I'm guessing a lot of you know what the BHAG is, but if you don't know what the BHAG is, it's that big, hairy, audacious goal. Because I want you to go big. I want you to go huge. If you can imagine it, not think you can accomplish, but if you can imagine it, you can reach that goal. You can reach that goal. So I want to talk about this. This is your first driver to actually changing your discipline and your habits so that you can achieve great heights. So the first thing that I want you to do is I want you to pick a goal, whatever it is. It could be running a marathon. It could be planning your workday every day all year long. Whatever the goal, if you want to lose, if you really want to lose 30 pounds, I don't want you to set 10 as the goal. So I want you to go big. I want you to go big. And why do I want you to go big? Number one, you, in all likelihood, can achieve it, even if you don't think so at the moment. Even if you think so at the moment. There are people that cross marathon finish lines every day in this world that never thought that they could do that. But I think you can, and I know I know if you believe you can, you will accomplish it. That's the first thing. Second thing about why I want you to go big is you actually will care more. It will mean more to you. You will not dismiss it as, it's just a 5K or a 3-miler. So to speak, just an analogy. I don't care if you're a runner or not, but it is going to be much, much more important to you. I think you'll be more impressed when you achieve it. And the other thing to kind of wrap all that together is, if it's not that important to you, it's probably not worth being that disciplined about it. If you don't want to run a marathon, you don't have to do your daily runs and all your speed work and all that good stuff. You don't want to be a great planner, you don't have to plan every day. So I'm assuming that whatever it is that you're hoping to get out of this talk, that it's important to you. And if it's important to you, it's worth going big. And I don't want you to worry about all those people who say, oh, I want you to set those little intermediary goals and all that good stuff, because then, you need to actually hit the goal to feel better about yourself and all that good stuff. That's total bunk. Most people achieve mediocrity because they set all those small goals. Okay, and they don't really look big, so they don't really work towards their holy grail, whatever that is, or their personal Mount Everest. So it's not that they set the goal too high and they don't achieve it. It's that they aim too low and they actually hit them, and that becomes a problem. And I'm going to explain as we go through the talk why that becomes a problem. So it may sound odd. So stick with me. Now, second thing about goals is there's a whole lot of stuff you got to think about. Sacrifices, obstacles, temptations. Oh my, this is the stuff that after you set the goal, the first thing that you need to do is figure out what you're going to give up. You got to figure out what you're going to give up. And actually, I will say that most people, they can achieve those marathons or climb the Mount Everest of their life. The reason they don't, and I want you to look at yourself for this one, is because they're not willing to give other stuff up. They're not willing to give other stuff up and create that environment that allows them to be successful. I wanted to be a better planner, but I used to go hit golf balls at 5 o'clock. I would knock off of work at 5 o'clock. I would zip over to the country club by 5:05. I had bushel of balls there, and I was practicing my golf swing. Well, if I want to be a better planner, I have to give up that hour so I can plan. So that's what I'm talking. You want to have a healthy body, you got to give up the potato chips. So you got to think about the sacrifices that you are going to give up. These come in a variety of forms. You got to create space in your life. You want to run that marathon. You got to take the 3 hours off on Saturday afternoon. You probably got to give up the Friday night drinking too, to achieve that. But you got to think about what it is that you're going to do to reshape your environment, whether that's keeping the potato chips out of the pantry, or whether that's creating more space in the morning to meditate. You need those extra 10 minutes, 20 minutes to meditate. Then you've got to get up 10 minutes earlier, or you got to trade something out, or your spouse has got to take the kids to school, or whatever it is. But you got to create that environment. Okay, that's the second thing. Third thing. Well, one of the things about the third thing is now we're getting into mind control. I need you to make sure. Need you to make sure that you are, as you set those goals, that you are not looking too far in advance. You're not looking too far in advance. That you're actually keeping your eyes in front of you. You're keeping your eyes in front of you. The reason that we get very, very frustrated and the goal seems very, very big is because we're trying to eat the elephant in one bite. Okay? So the first thing that you got to do when you think about setting up the environment is you got to make sure that your present day self is actually outsmarting your future silly self. So, think about, when you're at the grocery store, that if you want a better diet, you need to make sure you don't buy the potato chips now, so that Thursday after my live office hour session, when I'm hungry, I don't go into the pantry and then pull out the bag of chips. So that's what I'm talking about outsmarting that. So a great analogy I once read is that, there's the rider. Everybody has the rider and the elephant in them. The rider is the rational side. The elephant is the emotional side. And in order to make a change in your life with any level of consistency, your rider has to outsmart your elephant. Okay? So, but one of the things that you're going to need to do is not only are you going to need to outsmart the elephant at a point in time, you are going to have to make sure that as you're going through your day in and your day out, you're not looking too far down the road, because you will become emotionally deflated, right? Running 26 miles is a big, big deal. So how can I make sure that I'm not giving up on myself along the way? So what you want to make sure is that you're actually focusing on the short term. You're focusing on the short term. So you're not thinking too big, all of it at once, You're keeping it day in and day out. So if I'm going to run a marathon, I don't think about crossing 26.2 miles. I think about, what does my plan say today? What does my plan say today? It says go for a 5-mile run. If I want to make sure I plan for all 220 work days of the year, I don't worry about planning 220 days. I worry about planning today. If I want to meditate today, I worry about creating 10 minutes. That's it. I want you to focus on the short term and focus on the habit. So don't look too far down the line. I'm not so worried about those intermediary goals as I am you focusing on the success of you actually working the habit. That's what will continue to retrain you, and I'll show you here in a second how you can actually make sure that you make that stick. But in the short term, just remember, you're not focusing on intermediary goals. You're focusing on making sure that you're creating space to do the habit. You're actually performing whatever habit or discipline that it is that you want. Follow me? So now the other thing about this is, when I said that people set those short goals, those low goals, here's what happens. When you set a milestone for yourself and it's not as big as you would like to achieve, meaning on your journey to wherever it is you want to go, I want you to be up here. But if your focus is on an intermediary goal, what a lot of people will do when they hit the intermediary goal, as opposed to focusing on the habit, is they'll be happy. And as a matter of fact, I want you to feel good about what you're accomplishing. But what often happens when you hit an intermediary goal is you think that's good enough. And then what happens is you stop working the habit. So think about a great analogy. I'm sure everybody, whether it's you or you have a friend, a lot of these people, they try to diet. They want to lose 30 pounds. They got an intermediary goal. They got to lose, first you got to lose a pound, then you got to lose 5 and 10 and so on. But a lot of times what they'll do is they'll hit a goal and then they'll just stop. And then they'll kind of slip because they're not focusing on the habit. They focused on the goal. And once they reached a goal, they felt very drained because they felt as if they accomplished something. And then they sort of threw in the towel. So you want to be very, very careful that you're not susceptible to doing that. So that's just a big mistake that I see people make. But if you're focusing on the habit, what ultimately retrains your mind so that you feel you are a runner, a planner, or something of the nature is you have to reflect. So as you're going through your day, as you've created the space in your life to do whatever it is that you want to do so that the habit forms on your way to working toward the goal, you have to reflect, and you have to reflect frequently, as in daily. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to think about this. No matter who you are, even the biggest type A's of us all, and people that seem to rack up accomplishment after accomplishment or are very disciplined, one of the things that they do is they're constantly looking ahead. They're never completely satisfied with the transformation that's occurring because they never take the time to reflect. Somebody who wants to change the way they go about their day rarely reflects on what's happening at the moment, because they're living the moment. They're not really conscious of the transformation that's been accumulating over time. One of the best ways that you can do that is if you reflect on a frequent basis and look at what you accomplished that day, that hour, whatever it is that you were trying to change, you will start to retrain your mind to think, I am a runner, I am a planner, I am a meditator, I am somebody who eats healthy. And I want you to look at this formula. You do, day in and day out, whatever your habit is. You reflect. This is what ultimately will rewire your brain. So before you know it, you will be a runner, you will be a planner, you will be a meditator, you will be somebody who eats healthy, you will be dropping the pounds, you will be doing whatever it is you want to become disciplined in doing. This is the best way to rewire your brain. You have to retrain yourself. And one of the things I never want you to do, this is some of the worst advice I hear people giving. They say to people, well, just tell yourself you'll fake it till you'll make it, and then all of a sudden you'll wake up one day and you'll be a success, or that habit will be there, or before you know it, you'll have accumulated that much money, or you'll have lost those pounds, or whatever. You're competing with this. Your mind knows every dark secret about you. It knows when you're telling the truth. It knows when you're lying. So if you say, I'll fake it till I make it, you're telling your mind you're a fake. And it's just going to keep believing that. And it's just going to keep perpetuating that. What you need to do is you need to rewire it by doing the habit, reflecting on it on a frequent basis. That is what will rewire your brain. I meditated today. I wrote that in my journal. I said M. I put the number up above the M to see how many days in a row I meditated, or how many days I've meditated this year, or how many days I planned, or whatever it is. And all of a sudden, I feel like those are ingrained habits. You compound those ingrained habits, you achieve your goals. Now, your goal could be accomplishing something like running a marathon, or it could just be, I want to be a better planner. And in order to be a better planner, you need to be consistent in the way you plan. So have a goal, 220 work days in a row. And that's what you need to be working toward. So that's really important. And then the other thing that you need to do, in addition to reflecting, is you actually need to give yourself a reward. Okay, this is the kind of stuff that I would like to replace with you hitting intermediary goals. I have no problem with, I need to be here in order to be on pace. I need to be able to run 10 miles today so I can run 26.2 miles in 2 months, or whatever it is. I have no problem with that. I just want to make sure that you are not putting too much stock into those intermediary goals. I would rather you be rewarding yourself on a consistent basis. If you've eaten well for the entire day, you can have the morsel of 88% cocoa chocolate, right? I mean, so that's okay. Maybe you reward yourself at the end of the week if you planned 5 days in a row. So no problem with that. I think there needs to be reinforcement, but I think it starts with set the goal, work the habit, reflect, and reward in that order. Be very, very conscious of that. And then the other thing, to kind of wrap this together, I want you to have the right perspective. I know I mentioned this probably in some of the communications that I have with you, maybe even in the chat here. Out of reach but insight, using goals to achieve your impossible, is the goal motivational book that I wrote about how to get the best out of your life and be the best you can be and have fun doing it. It is about the journey. And I go through all that. But there's a quote in here that I want to share with you, and I want to kind of tie this all together with some perspective. I think it's on page 34. I should know this quote by heart. But when you set a goal, it's my belief that a goal is nothing more than a vehicle to enhance your enjoyment of something you love. That's the first part. A goal is nothing more than a vehicle to enhance your enjoyment of something you love. I want you to remember that. But what I really want you to remember is the actual attainment of the goal is far less important than the positive impact working toward that goal has on your life. This, to me, all of this, the journey that you're living, the being happy with yourself, enjoying your life, is about enjoying the day in and day out. And a big part of that, and being able to rewire your brain, fuel your success, fuel your confidence, and achieve your goals, has to do with your perspective on your transformation. See, some people, they might set the marathon as the goal, but if they don't cross the 26.2 mile finish line, they feel like a failure. But from a perspective standpoint, if you initially wanted to set your goal as a 5K or run 3 miles, and you could only run 20, I'd say you did it 7 times over, right? So from a transformation perspective, your evolution was way up here. Now, you might not have achieved your goal, but think about how much more you've gone through from a transformative perspective. So keep that in mind, that people who become bummed with themselves because they don't achieve some goal, I just don't think that that's the proper perspective. I want you to set big goals. I want you to work toward them. I want you to develop the discipline through the habits by rewiring your brain if you're having trouble doing it. Because repetition alone is not just going to create a sustainable habit. There is a lot that needs to go in it, and your mind is a big part of that. So I want to make sure that you have the proper perspective on yourself and the transformation. So I hope that helps. So if you think about it, set the goal, make sure the goal is big, set the environment, make your sacrifices, make sure you're removing the temptations, all that good stuff. Got to go through it, do it, build the habit, reflect, reward, and make sure you got the proper context in the way you look at it. And I do think you will change the way, from a discipline perspective, that you go through whatever it is that you want to change, whether it's running, something healthy, the way you go about work, your evolution, your plan, whatever it might be. So I hope that serves you. I hope you enjoyed that. If you are here with me live, we're gonna go to the chat. If you are watching this on the recording, I'll see you, likely next week.